Closures or charters, summer 2011, right there at number 8, Ferguson Academy, Catherine Ferguson Academy. Follow the asterisk there on that headline to this footnote. Quote, proposals will be requested to operate these schools as charters. If an acceptable proposal is not submitted for a school, it will be closed during the summer of 2011. In other words, Catherine Ferguson, named incidentally for a former slave whose mother was sold away from her as a kid, Catherine Ferguson Academy has been put on the block. If a private charter company bid for the school and the school district accepted that bid, then maybe it could live on in some way, in whatever way the charter company decided. If not, then Catherine Ferguson would close this summer. Like all decisions involving the Detroit Public Schools, the one about Catherine Ferguson Academy ultimately belonged to the school system's appointed emergency manager. Detroit schools have been run by an emergency manager since 2009, when former Governor Jennifer Granholm, a Democrat, installed one to try to save the city's school system. Last year, the emergency manager had tried to move Catherine Ferguson out of its building under Michigan's old emergency manager law, but community protests forced him to leave the school alone. Then in March, the new governor, Republican Rick Snyder, signed a new emergency manager law, sometimes called emergency manager on steroids, sometimes called financial martial law. This new law from the new Republican governor gave the old manager essentially dictatorial powers, truly dictatorial powers in the technical sense, unilateral authority. You decide it, it is so. No one can say otherwise. Under Rick Snyder's new law, the emergency manager answers to no local elected officials, not the elected school board, not the elected city council. The emergency guy is in charge with unlimited authority. Detroit schools are broke. They may even be broken. And in the state of Michigan's view, the first part of fixing them is to do away with democracy and give the power instead to a state-appointed overseer with unilateral power. Perhaps because they remembered what had happened the last time the emergency manager came for the school and how protests had stopped that from happening, the students of Catherine Ferguson Academy this year staged a sit-in at their school to try to keep it open. You see them painting protest signs here, setting up for the long haul with sleeping bags, stuff for their babies, food. They meant to settle in for however long it took because this is their school. This is how they thought they would be able to keep it open.
I want everybody to have the same opportunity that I had. I got out of here. I want you to graduate the same way I did. I got 2 kids. You can make it with 1, 2, or how many of you got? You know, they're going to make it happen. Miss Andrews make it happen.
Miss Andrews, she's talking about Miss Andrews, the school principal, Mrs. Seneth Andrews. She's the one who, at Catherine Ferguson, pushes you through, finds a college for you to go to and money to help with tuition. If you show up at her school as a junior or senior, Miss Andrews says you've got a 90% chance of leaving with your diploma. Under her leadership, Catherine Ferguson has been named a breakthrough school by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. Just hours after Catherine Ferguson's students began their sit-in, what they thought would be a long-haul occupation of their own school, Ms. Andrews got a call for help, specifically to help make short-term arrangements for the kids, because the kids needed to be taken care of because this happened. Detroit police moved in and arrested these girls, these American girls in this American high school. A dozen students and 1 teacher were taken into custody on April 15th. Their voices drowned out by the police sirens that were put on so their community could not hear what they were yelling. The last time we checked in with Catherine Ferguson, the principal was preparing a 20-minute public presentation on why the emergency manager should choose to keep the school open. Since it's his decision alone, he just gets to personally make that call as one guy. Ms. Andrews never got a chance to give that public talk because on May 3rd, Catherine Ferguson turned up on this announcement, the emergency manager's list of schools that had drawn at least 1 bid from a private charter company. And remember, that was their only hope of staying open if a private company wanted them. So with a bid from a company to keep them open, they thought there was some hope, but then 3 weeks later, Catherine Ferguson turned up on a new list, this list, schools whose buildings would close with some kind of unspecified transition plan for continuing their services for a while. Far less hopeful, but maybe not the worst. That was a couple of weeks ago. And yesterday, the principal, Ms. Andrews, got called to a meeting for schools that are being shut down. Catherine Ferguson, her school is on that list now. Ms. Andrews has been told to turn in her keys to the school on June 17th. Catherine Ferguson Academy, which has served Detroit's most at-risk girls for almost a quarter century now, is slated to close in just a few days because the school's emergency manager says so. That's what he decided. And in Michigan now, his word alone is the law.